As you look around the exhibit area, you will see a number of artifacts from the granite quarrying days. To the south of the Derrick house is an 11.5-foot diameter saw from a processing plant that cut granite. The steel saw has 144 teeth. Each tooth had a short extension called a segment. The segments were silver soldered onto the teeth. Segments are made with synthetic diamonds embedded in them. Diamonds are harder than granite, so the blade would very slowly cut granite blocks into slabs. When the segments were worn down, the entire blade was sent in for a new set of teeth. The two polished building columns lying on the ground are the former St. Cloud red granite pillars from the exterior of St. Cloud's Carnegie Library. The library was built in 1902 and torn down in 1982. These columns were manufactured by Simmers and Campbell Granite Company and turned on a lathe. You can see some of the cutter marks on the polished surface if you look at the right angle. The product name for this granite was North Star Red and came from a quarry about 1/4 mile north of Quarry Park in what is now the Martin Marietta aggregate pit. Behind the columns you will see two metal scoops. These were old boilers that quarriers converted to skips. Skips were attached to the Derrick hook and lowered into the quarry so stonecutters could remove the excess granite debris from the bottom of the quarry. This material was then hauled onto the waste rock piles called grout piles. To the north of the quarry, on which the Derrick is located, you will see one of the types of methods of disposing large stones that were considered unusable. Quarriers used steel tongs that grabbed these blocks and created retaining walls next to the quarry. Because land was expensive, this technique allowed the stonecutters to maximize the ground surface area for the actual quarrying process. As the waste rock wall stacked up, more irregular-sized chunks of stone were disposed of behind the wall. Across the canyon from the Derrick is the other way in which waste rock was disposed. It was just dumped in a heap in an area the owner felt would be out of the way. When you look at some of the waste rock lying around the exhibit area, you wonder why they weren't used. Because the stone products made from granite at this site were four-dimensional stones, blocks of granite, if there were any blemishes, the rock was discarded. If an architect ordering that type of granite said that no crystal size should be larger than a dime, and the stone didn't meet that specification, the stone was disposed of onto the grout pile. Other reasons rocks became part of the grout pile were irregular colors, varying crystal sizes, or tiny fractures within the rock. About 80% of the rock removed from a quarry ended up on the grout pile. As you go back toward the exhibit entrance, on your right you will see a stone with a series of holes in it. Stuck in one of the holes are the wedges used to split the stone. These are called plugs and feathers. The plug is a steel peg in the center. The feathers are the winged wedges on either side of the plug. These were placed in holes the stonecutter made with a drill bit. The more holes with plugs and feathers along the splitting line, the more control the stonecutter had in cracking the stone where he wanted. A hand sledge was used to tap the plugs. After going along the entire row of plugs and feathers, the stonecutter would repeat the process. Eventually, enough side pressure would be placed from the wedges to split the stone. A crowbar was then placed in the crack to finish separating the pieces of the stone. That concludes our brief tour of the Liberty Derrick exhibit. To learn more about the exhibit or the park, explore Stearns County's website at www.co.stearns.mn.us. We hope you enjoyed your tour. Comments regarding this tour can also be submitted to the Park Department at parkinfo@co.stearns.mn.us. Thanks for visiting Granite Country, USA.